Thank you very much, Steve. So we'll call the regular council meeting in the town of Grand Bay Westfield on Monday, April the 12th to order. Item 2.
Record of attendance.
Let the record reflect that the absence of Councillor Evans, please.
Motion to,
It'll happen anyway. It'll happen.
I just, that's why.
Item 3, please.
Approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions.
Motion to adopt as presented.
Seconded.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried, and your item is 4, please.
Disclosure of conflict of interest.
I will declare a conflict on item 15.3, please. Is there any others? There being none, we're going to go item 5,
Public hearings.
none, and item 6.
Public presentations.
Thank you. RCMP first, please. Council, you have in your package the data for the statistical RCMP report for the month of March.
Any questions?
Question on me? Thanks, Bill. Joining us for you at home, for those of you at home, is Sergeant Julie Marsh. And she's joined in the room actually by Acting Corporal Daniel Kelly.
First name's Kelly, last name's Dan.
Oh, I have to that first. So you're Kelly Daniel.
Kelly Dan.
Yeah, you might be somebody new before you leave here tonight.
She likes to pick names. So any questions for me with regards to our stats for March?
No. None for me.
Okay, so a couple of things to follow up from the last meeting. I know it was raised regarding speeding on River Valley, so we actually have done quite a bit of traffic enforcement on River Valley since then, since the week of February 22nd. And we also did some traffic enforcement in one of the newer school zones in front of Westfield. So we actually did a checkpoint
Oh, good.
today. So they were slowing down, and very good comments from the community that we've been out there. So
Especially in the school zone, Julie, huh?
yes.
Yeah.
And then our annual performance plan, we kind of talked briefly about that. So the initiatives are the same as they were from last year. So drug enforcement, traffic enforcement, and property crimes are going to be the same as.
Yes, the 3 priorities, that's right.
So I'll put on there that consultation was done and everything is good for
And I
that.
filled out the survey, they had sent it to me, and I filled it out and reflected those priorities and sent it back.
Perfect. Okay. And then just the last thing I wanted to discuss is the vote. I know that that was brought up for the last meeting. So the direction that I have received is that our focus really is to have the most impact where our resources are available, targeting those causing the most harm in our communities. And at this time, that does not include water patrols in Grand Bay Westfield area.
However, we have correspondence on file that indicates different than that.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to have some clarity.
Yes, so I mean, I'm certainly here to listen to any questions or concerns that you have, and we can discuss that as being a priority. I'm being told that any community that would like more RCMP services and are willing to pay, they can discuss it with Department of Justice and Public Safety.
That's the RSC model, that's right. And that's a separate discussion than the content of this. But yes, we should have that conversation, actually.
So just want to remind everyone, public safety is our priority. Our responsibility is to ensure we're providing effective policing with being accountable to the province for our budget.
Thanks, Julie.
So are we looking for an official letter from the RCMP?
We have it,
No, we have a letter that says
we share it with her.
that we have coverage.
Yeah.
So,
And
which is the new council's going to interpret as they have.
Yeah.
So you're saying you've had from your superiors acknowledgement that we no longer have it. We need a letter, an official letter under RCMP to say we're withdrawing our support of services on the river. You have to look after it yourself, I think is what we're looking for.
So what I'm being told is that this time it does not include patrols, so proactive patrols. If we're talking about safety on the water, as far as if there was a rescue or boat capsize, obviously we would work with our partners. So fire department, DNR, JRCC, those are all our partners, and we would work towards the safety of everyone. If it's an emergency where we needed to go get somebody from the water, if it was a rescue.
So you won't have the boat.
But I'm talking about, if they do, we're talking about proactive enforcement for the boating season.
So the concern, of course, Deputy Mayor and Sergeant Marsh, is that the letter to us indicates that we do have patrols and enforcement. That is in the content of the body of the letter. And so before they withdraw services to the town of Grand Bay Westfield, that they've told us that we have, we're going to need to have discussion with Justice in order to determine just exactly how we're going to proceed.
Yes, because your worship, years ago, and I don't know how long ago, but we had the RCMP doing river checks or checks on boats on the river.
That's right. So we just need someone with some history to have this discussion, and I'm prepared to do that, so I'll reach out to you tomorrow to find out who we should potentially discuss, but I can go to Justice, I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Julie. I wanted to ask you about the young Limkiln girl, anything new?
There was quite a turnout for the community search. There were some items that were found, but nothing confirmed to be any of Andrea's. So we're still, where we are with the investigation. We're still working diligently on any leads or tips that we get. So we're still asking the community to call if they have leads or tips or information about where she could be. And that's sort of where we're at right now.
Yeah. So that's a horrible place for a family to be, but look, at this time I want to acknowledge Brittany Merrifield's here for another issue, actually. And she did a lot to lead that and spark up people's interest in doing that search. And so we want to acknowledge that. And listen, well, we're glad they didn't find her. Let's hope that she's alive somewhere. So before we get to where we could possibly be.
We're staying positive.
That's right. So, Julie, the only other thing I noticed here on your collision, there was a vehicle on Kingdom Hall Road.
Yes.
So a driver transported to a hospital, it doesn't indicate, was there any charges or anything with that?
Which one, where is that one?
Traffic collisions, non-fatal injury. Item 1, Kingdom Hall Road near Highway 7, extensive damage, driver transported to hospital.
I don't believe so. I think it was a collision. I don't think anyone was impaired.
Good stuff. That's a good news. That's a good news. Thank you, Sergeant Marsh, and it was nice to meet you, Acting Corporal Kelly Dennis. Council, can I have a motion, please, to take this for notice on the table?
Make a motion to receive and file.
Second.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried, and we're going to proceed to item 16, please. Yes, please. Did you hear, you're so quietly spoken. Auditor, thank you. So that means you, Nick, can you hear?
Greetings, yes.
So we have a presentation from the, from Nick with Curry and Betts. They're responsible for our audit. So Nick, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to say once again that in layman's terms, we are issuing what would be called a clean audit report, which is to say that the financial statements that we have audited for the year ended December 31st, 2020 are free of material misstatement and accurately represent the financial position of the town as at the end of 2020. So,
Go ahead, Nick.
oh, thank you. As I had mentioned, my intent is to, while I will answer obviously any questions that are put forward, I will only hit what I would deem to be the salient highlights financially for the town for the year. And that would be that there was a general operating surplus of the year of $114,716. Obviously, the town does not budget to make a surplus of $114,716. But although the reality is, although COVID did create some additional expenses throughout the year, it also meant that things that had been budgeted and planned could not be provided. So I believe that accounts for a substantial amount of the surplus, and that is essentially funds that were intended to be spent could not be spent. On the sewage surplus side, there was a surplus of $21,421. So both operating funds realized surpluses in the year 2020. In terms of financials highlights in the year, we would regard the capital addition of the pumper truck, which was approximately $430,000, as the biggest single outlay, and that was financed through the issue of a $420,000 debenture.
Those pieces of equipment aren't cheap, Nick.
No, they are not. No, they are not. However, well worth it.
Just waiting for you.
And there was the only other additional debenture borrowing through the year was a debenture issued for $124,000, which was a refinancing of a previous debenture.
Of a debenture, that's right. So if you hit all your top points, Nick, perhaps one of you councilors would make a motion.
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
There's a motion on that.
Yeah,
Oh,
for your consideration on item 6.2.
okay, who's ever got it right up in front of me?
Make a motion that the council of the town of Grand Bay Westfield approve the town of Grand Bay Westfield audited report and consolidated financial statements as at December 31st, 2020, as prepared by Curry and Betts and forward to the province for approval.
Seconded.
Would the mover consider the comment on the item as well as to reappoint Curry and Betts for 2022?
So moved.
Thank you. Okay with the seconder?
Seconded.
On the question. Certainly, Nick, it's another surplus year for us. It's I have to put in here, it is my 24th year here. We've never had a deficit in 24 years. We've always run a surplus on the audited statements. And it's, we're pretty proud of that, to be honest. And look, as I pointed out to you earlier, the 114, I'm sure is money we didn't spend because of COVID. Some of it, because usually our surpluses end up around the $20,000 mark in that general area somewhere, because you try to spend your money when you have work to do in a community.
Exactly. Yeah.
So certainly that's generally, but COVID has made exceptions to near everything.
Yeah.
So on the question of adopting the audited statements as presented and of reappointing Curry and Betts, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Nick, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Everybody stay safe.
Thanks, Nick, you too.
Yep.
So now we're on item 6.3, please.
River
Nicole.
Valley Community Center.
Thank you. And we have a number of people joining us from the River Valley Community Center. I see their chair, Tanya Oliver's here. I see their general manager, Kelly Goddard. And I see, my gosh, our new mayor-elect, Brittany Merrifield. Happy you could join us, Brittany. And there's two others there beside you. And I'm sorry, I can't. Amy Shanks and oh, Nick Rouse. Hi, Nick. How are you? Nice to have you all join us, folks. I know you've got a public presentation you want to talk about with respect to recreation at the facility. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Glad you could all join us.
Great. Thank you very much for having us this evening. So Nick Rouse and Amy Shanks, they're here from the Boys and Girls Club of Canada. And the RVCC is very excited to partner with them to bring some recreation to our community. Our recreation committee itself had a few volunteers, and it was getting very difficult for them to be able to continue this on. So this is the perfect partnership. This proposal was brought forward to our board and it passed. And now our next step is to present to our town and council. So I'll let Brittany take over with the presentation.
Thank you,
Thank
Tanya,
you.
very much. Nice to see you.
Thanks. Thank you, Tanya. Hello, Madam Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation. The mission statement of the River Valley Community Center is that we aim to be a catalyst to promote and meet the needs of the community through diverse programming, recreational activities, and fostering relationships with innovative and progressive community engagement. Our new partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of St. John will provide the youth programming that our community needs. They will be using their widespread social media presence, resilient history, and program knowledge to bring recognition, funding, and future opportunities to the youth and the community of Grand Bay Westfield as a whole. Our goals are to provide science and arts programming, positive development and academic achievement, and provide after-school safe space for local youth to experience social inclusion, to learn and access needed resources. We have partnered with the Boys and Girls Club of St. John to ensure that our programs at the RVCC are of the highest quality. The Boys and Girls Club will hire program leaders to facilitate and plan all youth programs and maintain standards of safety, inclusion, and belonging. The RVCC has engaged in extensive renovations to the program room. So we have a brand new program room down on the rink level by the side door to embody a more youth-friendly environment and to give ownership to the youth who attend by providing them their own space. If you haven't had an opportunity to go and look at it, it's beautiful. We're very proud of it. Our urgency now lies with obtaining the proper funding to sustain our programming from the spring through the summer, giving the Boys and Girls Club enough time to secure grant funding for the fall. Much like the South End Community Center in St. John, we hope to become a long-time satellite location of the Boys and Girls Club. In our initial stages, we have focused on programming for the area's youth. A needs assessment that was done in addition to anecdotal commentary made it clear that there's a major hole in programming and support for those in the middle and high school age group. To solve this problem for our community, we built this relationship with the Boys and Girls Club to create the River Valley Youth Center. Our number one goal for 21-22 is to provide this after-school safe haven for our middle and high school kids. This will require significant support from a financial and staff perspective, but it's a crucial need in our community. As our capacity increases, so will our programming options. The Boys and Girls Club has access to grants, scholarships, and tested programs through their national organization to sustain this programming well into the future. In 2019, we held a focus group session with local youth as the primary participant. In this session, the youth themselves identified that they are in need of a safe place to hang out after school, someplace they can do their homework where they can get help from others, and someone that they can speak to about problems that they need help with regarding safety and other issues. We are opening the doors to the River Valley Youth Center this month, and we're incredibly excited about this. But the Boys and Girls Club is limited in their offerings due to the urgent need for free programming and the short time period for applying and receiving funding for support. Initially, there will be 3 days per week of programming offered. Ideally, we would provide after school and evening programming from Monday to Friday. We are seeking assistance for the additional days to secure our programming into the summer months for our youth leadership camp. Creating a valuable foundation for youth through robust community programming makes the community stronger as a whole. Grand Bay Westfield would benefit from offering a safe, stable environment in which youth can learn, socialize, and grow together. This includes mentorship programs, leadership development, and effective after-school programs. The River Valley Community Center, our River Valley Community Center, is ready to make this happen with the necessary support. Through community research, it was noted that upwards of 175 youth participants in the area would be interested in taking part in various youth-focused programs and events. The RVCC's Recreation Committee, supported by the board, made up of 2 volunteers, is small but mighty, having built up a grassroots youth program in our community that's been hugely successful. The opportunity for the RVCC and the Boys and Girls Club of St. John to partner in delivering effective and structured youth programming is a really exciting development in our community and one that we are eager to grow. But before this partnership can be fully implemented in the fall, we need your help in offering financial support for the coming spring and summer sessions of programming. We need dedicated funding and staff to take our strategy to the next level, assisting the community in the development of future programming and being the lead on running current offerings. Joining forces with the Boys and Girls Club of St. John has been a huge gain for our community. This organization has been implementing youth programs in the Greater St. John area for many years and places the utmost importance on providing to communities the care and attention to what is most important to them regarding their youth, including promoting learning beyond the traditional classroom and offering skill sets that can be honed and developed far into adulthood. Effective after-school programs bring a wide range of benefits to youth, families, and communities. They are known to boost academic performance, reduce risky behaviors, promote physical health, and provide a safe, structured environment for youth. This important programming can build a foundation for our youth and our community to grow stronger together. Our goal is to meet the needs identified by our community and grow a strong youth program in Granby Westfield. Providing a robust roster of programs and educational events for our youth population to participate in has positive benefits for everybody across the board. The coming together of citizens, charitable groups, nonprofit organizations, businesses, and governments to collaboratively create opportunities for our youth to thrive will be our overarching principle. Through this collaborative approach, an improved quality of life for our youth will be achieved. The River Valley Community Center will become the place to go when looking for information, support, education, programming, and inclusion for all the youth in Granby Westfield. Creating a fully functioning community center resource center will have a positive impact on many of the social determinants of health by increasing awareness of services, benefits, and providing a safe and accessible place for our youth to gather. We are very proud of what we have been able to bring to the community thus far and are incredibly excited for future growth. In order for the current level of programming to continue and for the projected growth to occur, we need funding to take this strategy to the next level. We appreciate your consideration in this regard, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brittany, very much. It's, I can tell you that I'm thrilled that you've gotten here because look, when the River Valley Community Center first began, that was always the intention. Kelly's sitting right there. We did have after-school programming and we had kids' place. I think actually the daycare has now taken the space where the children are. Am I right about that, Kel? I think that's who's there now, but that was certainly always the intention. And I'm thrilled to see that the St. John Boys and Girls Club has come on board to help provide that. I know you came to our community, Nick and Amy, a couple of seasons ago. You were hosting the Wilderness Summer Camp, I think, up at Englewood School. So it's, I know, actually my grandson went to that, yes, and he just had an amazing, wonderful time there and is looking forward to your return. I think he's one of your junior counselors or something, perhaps. So it's a wonderful opportunity for the kids. This is a far more expanded offering of programming for the kids than we were able to offer. And I'm sure Brittany, you and Tanya and Kelly and Annie, everybody who was working on it would agree that it takes someone like the St. John Boys and Girls Club, people who have the kind of background to come in and offer the kind of programming that the youth of the community really can benefit from and get involved in. So, look, we're grateful. I think as we do with all presentations, we'll have a motion in all likelihood to forward it back to the CAO, who will work with Kelly to better understand the kind of finances we're talking about. And that report will return, I'm sure, to the council, our next council agenda for approval. So we look forward to a successful conclusion. Thanks, guys, for all of your hard work. Tanya, Kelly, Brittany, thanks so much. Amy and Nick, welcome to Granby Westfield in a more robust way. We look forward to having you, and I know the kids will be thrilled to have that kind of programming at their disposal. So thanks, everybody. Do we have a motion, please?
I move to refer this back to the CAO, please, for advisement.
Thank you, and a report back to council for April 26th.
Yes.
Thank you. We don't want to hold you up, folks. We'll get it done with right before we go out the door. Thank you, Councillor Congress. Second on the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna lose our audience.
No, I think Brittany stayed with us last week too. So we're gonna move on to item 7, please, particularly 7.1, let me see. Let's do 7.1 through 4.
Motion to, receive and file? No, we've got to adopt, 7.1.
Nicole could first highlight them. Nicole?
7-1 minutes of regular council meeting of March 22nd, 2021.
Thank you, Nicole.
Motion to adopt as presented.
Seconded.
Thank you. On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Item 7.2, please.
RBCC meeting minutes of February 16th, 2021.
Motion to receive and file?
Seconded.
On the question, as our representative to the board, John, is there anything you'd like to add?
Nope, everything's good.
Pardon?
Everything's good.
Good, thank you. Council, you can have your masks off in this room when you're seated. On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Item 3, please.
Age-friendly committee, March 4th, 2021.
Motion to receive and file?
Seconded.
On the question,
We have been very busy,
yes,
and we've had, really, really good meetings on Zoom.
yes.
If any of you have read The Rosie Project, you can join us on Wednesday for our book club meeting. And I already have the next book. People are that excited when they know their month is coming. I got an email.
That's such a good idea, Beth, to have the book club with people at home and,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
yeah, it'd be a top.
And it's books I can tell you that if I went to the bookstore, I wouldn't necessarily pick up.
Yes, and you're.
And I love that.
Yeah,
So there's a really good website that we've been accessing, and we can get the books for nothing. And it's really nice to be able to borrow them and read them, and people are getting excited about it.
it's exciting. I'll be able to do some of this when I retire. Think of it.
We'll make sure you're involved.
In the book club, there you go. On the question, of the age-friendly committee minutes, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Your item is 4, please.
PAC minutes, March 1st, 2021.
Motion to receive and file.
Seconded.
On the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Thank you, Ken. We'll move on to item 8.
Bills for payment.
Make a motion that we pay the bills for $103,283.48.
Seconded.
On the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Your item is 9, 1 through 8, please.
Red Bay Westfield Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department report from March 2021.
Motion received and filed.
Seconded.
On the question, as always, I generally try to pick a couple of things here to highlight, and this will be no exception. Certainly the fire department, if you look for the month of March, volunteer fire put in 830 hours for volunteer effort. That's a pretty amazing department we got over there for the month of March. And I guess we want to talk about 2 new housing starts in that community. We're up to almost $1 million by the end of March. So that's good shape for the new team coming in to find themselves in. I don't think we've had new houses in March, maybe in all my years.
No,
So people have been saving their money during COVID and sitting on it or something, making their dreams or buying their lumber supplies to make investments and reinvestments in existing property or building new ones. We're just thrilled about the outcomes, and people are starting to come back and ask, when can they rent? When can they get in? And so we're looking forward to everyone's vaccinations and getting through that. And the other thing I'll speak of is a capital project status tracking sheet. That's a great report to contain here in this consent agenda. John, please.
No, I'm finished, and then I need to speak to that.
Yeah, well, all I was going to say about that is it highlights all of the capital projects underway. It gives you a great dashboard to look at where it's at in progress. Has a tender been awarded? Where is it? What is the amount? When is it slated to be done? Is it on schedule? If it's not, why isn't it? And it provides a good look for anyone who are sitting in any of these chairs to be able to speak to any of the capital projects. John?
Now, I kind of hate saying what I'm going to say because I'm going to contradict you a bit. There's one project that's not on that report, the report prepared by Dylan. If council happens to go down by the lagoon, you're gonna notice that our solar array has been installed already. It's way ahead of schedule. It's not functioning yet, and that's because the software is not installed. So we expect that, I think it's gonna be this week that that's going to be installed, and so we'll be able to see, we should get a good idea by the end of the year about whether or not the pilot project should go forward.
So just so we're clear, you didn't contradict me, you just added to the information that wasn't contained in the project tracking report. So we know to watch for it now. Thank you, John. On the
Your
question,
worship, I was
Yes,
just
please,
gonna say,
Ryan.
I don't know that we read all the different reports into,
She needs to
record.
finish the rest of them.
oh,
we
sorry,
just read, I think she just read the first.
we just, no, what we read was the consent agenda. A consent agenda is things really that no one needs to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's why I said 1 through 8, so that they're all contained in the minutes, everything 1 through 8. She may decide to read the title of each one of them. Do you want to go ahead and do that, Nicole?
Sure.
No, just historically, yeah.
2, building inspector's report for March 2021, dog control report for March 2021.
Not everyone has a dog tag, so you want to say that too.
I'm guilty. I'm gonna come in tomorrow.
Works department report for March 2021, capital project status tracking sheet, April 2021. River Center coordinators report for March 2021, recreation department report for March 2021, and seniors resource center report for March 2021.
All active. So we have a motion to receive and file on the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Your item is 10, please.
Business arising from minutes. Regular council meeting minutes of March 22nd, 2021.
So you have a report contained there and a recommendation for your consideration?
This is the Westville Golf and Country issue?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that the council of the town of Grand Bay West would recommend that the next council review the request from Westville Golf and Country Club within the context of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan to determine if the CAO or someone else should be appointed to the Westville Golf and Country Club to ensure success of the towns and for Westville Golf and Country Club's mutually shared goals.
Second.
On the question, certainly we want to compliment the Westville Golf and Country Club on the work they've done. They too have put together a strategic plan from 2020 up to 2025. They are staying with their mainstay of golf until 2022, when they too will review their plans going forward to 2025. And we think that based on the outcome of the Rex and Park Master Plan, on which Councillor Snodgrass has been very aptly serving, and thank you for that. We hope you'll continue once you're no longer a councillor, because you certainly contributed a lot to it. But it's that they'll have a look at that and see if certainly Golf and Country Club is talking about perhaps extending what it is they do up there. And so we want to make sure that we have an open line of communications from the town to the golf course should that occur, which is why we're considering something like this within the confines of the Park and Recreation Master Plan to come back with a recommendation from whatever staff person John appoints to put together the priorities or oversee the priorities. So on the question, Ryan's motion, you were the movers. Did you second it, Deputy Mayor Langley? Yeah. Okay. Michael, I want to acknowledge your efforts here because I know you've been a longstanding member of the Westville Golf and Country Club, and it has been a priority of yours that you believe there is some things where we can meet together there, and they perhaps are advantages for both of us. So we look forward to the outcome of the Rec and Parks Recreation Plan in order to move forward. On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Your item is 11, please.
Delegation,
None. Item 12,
petitions,
there are none. Item 13,
bylaws,
none. Item 14,
notice of motions.
are there any? There being none, we're going to move to item 15, particularly 15.1.
Town of Grand Bay Westfield Sewage Utility Report as of April 1st, 2021.
Make a motion to receive and file.
Second.
On the question, it's important to acknowledge that the billing for the fees, the total billing is $499,605, And at this point, we've received a lot of payments in spite of the fact that we're not giving the $15 back. We're paying it before April 1st. Imagine how that worked. Anyway, the good news is that the balance as of April 7th was $172,000. So good work on behalf of the community for acknowledging this is a self-supporting utility, and without your payments, it can't work. We have to borrow money to make it work. So it's a good thing to get your payment in early so that this utility can function as intended. So on the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried, and your item is 15.2, please.
Hook and Paddle.
There is.
Make a motion that we approve funding of $7,500 to Hook and Paddle Fishing Series for the sponsorship of an episode of their fishing series featuring the town of Grand Bay Westfield as an official location.
Okay.
So, do you want to speak to that, John?
Yeah, so, administration's not convinced that there's value in sponsoring this product. At the end of the day, it's a niche market. They talk about big numbers, but the big numbers are down in the States, and the market here is across Canada. What we're suggesting instead is, well, we don't approve this, but that any type of targeted marketing that the town engages in, that it has to be very focused, in the sense that, we allow the province to make headway, and we come in behind them, because the province is, the government that is attracting people to the province. And once people think, oh yeah, we want to come to New Brunswick, our job is to convince them to come to Grand Bay Westfield. And this isn't really that type of approach at all. And frankly, we get on the air 3 times for a total of 6 seconds. So it's very difficult to see the value of this. So my recommendation is council defeat this motion.
Okay, thank you. The only value, so when he made the presentation a couple meetings ago,
Brian Cosmic.
I can't recall, was their participation at Rutledge Point contingent on
No.
this? So
No, they're going to.
it's still gonna happen. Because if it was potentially gonna prevent it from happening, that might be an argument in favor of it, but, I tend to agree with you. I didn't realize it was a grand total of 6 seconds. It's a lot of money for
6 seconds.
6 seconds.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm very supportive of the idea of the event happening here at Grand Bay Westfield. Happy to have them here, and I'd like to find other ways to find some synergy to encourage them to continue to come here, but not at that price.
And we're still providing the facilities rent-free during July 10th.
Okay.
So we're not suggesting that's taken away. All it is a value proposition. Difficult to see the value in this investment, that's all.
Is it every community that they offering this? So would everybody have to pay $7,500 or just ourselves?
Every community that they're going to has been asked to pay this, and not every community has some help. Like I mentioned in the report, Quispam's council, decided to fund it, even though it wasn't budgeted, and administration recommended against it. And it's for the exact same thing. I think somebody around the table had asked, well, I think Quispam's getting something different. No, we're all getting the same opportunity here.
Yeah.
We don't see the value. I ran this by the new activity agency in Vision St. John.
Exactly, that's what I was just gonna say. I mean, this is a perfect example of the Vision St. John.
Yeah.
Pay for it, does the whole community, and, anyway.
If they see value,
Yeah.
that's right.
No, I understand.
If I could just speak to that comment about the new active agency, maybe it's different by that agency funding it on behalf of municipalities in the participating group, but that's a different project, and this came out now.
I mean, all those people are gonna stay in hotels in the city and eat food and go to bars and party and have fun.
Yeah.
So,
But maybe that's
everybody.
something they could look at in the future. Like
Yeah.
if-
But I'm just saying that it belongs within Vision. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's what that organization is supposed to be grabbing a hold
Yeah.
of and making decisions on.
And no, I did meet with Envision about this.
Okay.
And, one of the discussions we had, was, if there's someone here who participates in this, or even at the golf course, we have the, I forgot, Brits at the golf course, Grassroots, I think is the
Yes,
restaurant at the
that's
golf
right.
course. We have the general store, which has great food, and we have Pizza Delight. That's pretty much it in the way of food here. So it's difficult to make dollars stick here.
Yep.
That's a challenge right now, and our job is to try and get people to stick.
So the recommendation from your staff is to deny the request. The motion was to proceed, so we'll be looking for, on the question, all those in favor? Contrary minded?
Yay.
The motion is defeated. Thank you, council. So I'm going to move to item 15.3, but I'm going to turn over the chair to the deputy mayor because I'm in a conflict on this item. So I'll depart the room. There you go, deputy mayor.
Get the hammer.
You don't have to hit them.
Item
15.3, tentative subdivision, Campbell, Dorian, Keys, Oliver subdivision, lot 20-1 and lot 20-2.
So we have a request here from Planning Advisory to read your notes.
Yep.
Can I have a motion
I'll
on this?
make a motion that the council grant tentative approval to subdivision plan Campbell, Dorian, Keys, Oliver, tentative subdivision plan lot 20-1 and lot 20-2 as prepared by Desaulnier Surveys, Inc., received on January 13, 2021, subject to 1, a registered easement of right-of-way from MB Southern Railway granted in favor of the present property owners and future owners of lots 20-1 and 20-2, or such other agreement between the landowners and MB Southern Rail that ensures permanent access to the said lots. 2, recording civic number 264 for lot 20-2 and number 270 for lot 20-1 to be shown on the final subdivision plan for NB 911 identification. Item 3, council accepting $173.48 as money in lieu of land for public purposes, cash, debit, or money order or certified check for the creation of 1 new building lot, and 4, development of the lots subject to the town's regulated building elevation of 7.4 meters and provincial approvals for septic fields relative to the flood zone.
May I have a seconder? I need a seconder.
Oh, sorry, seconded.
Okay, on the motion, any questions? Any discussion? Brian?
No, I think the report was pretty clear. I think it's providing tentative approval based on those conditions, so.
Councilor Jones?
No comment.
No?
And I'm comfortable with the elevation being stated in there as
Yes.
part of the conditions, because obviously, we're trying to avoid having,
The only question I had, and a question to the CAO was, to your knowledge, my concern there is that there's no mention of upkeep of the road or the street. I mean, this is now going to be 2 homes in there, single access, split to their own. If one goes probably, I'm sure they have all their agreements now as to sharing cost of everything, the cost of the insurance, cost of tracks, cost of everything, plowing, keeping it upgraded and updated. What if one property owner sells, I guess my question is it attached to the deed of the property that these conditions all apply? So that if one property owner sells, someone naively buys the property, comes in and assumes that they've been now on a public street in the city, in the town, which we have a whole bunch of going on right now, that they go, well, what do you mean you're not going to plow us out? Or what do you mean you're not going to, whatever.
So my understanding is David typically does that, but let me confirm that and I'll email.
I tried to read, I read through both the PAC material and this material, and I couldn't pull that out.
Typically, that's what happens, but
Yes.
let me confirm that and I'll email back an answer tomorrow
Okay.
to all of council.
So,
do you want to table until we receive that information?
so that would probably be the procedural way to proceed here.
So then, would council want to do an email poll once that new information is
Okay.
Okay, no, we don't have to tie it up.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay,
So the motion would be
motion to table until
table until
we
we
refer back
get
to.
update to that particular point of
Yes.
interest and,
Yeah.
and then we'll do an email form.
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
We're done.
I didn't have to use this on anybody.
He threatened us not to tell you.
Thanks, everybody. So we'll move to item 15.4, please.
Tentative subdivision panoramic estate phase 7D plus multi-parcel grant.
Make a motion that we grant tentative approval to subdivision plan Panoramic Estate Subdivision Phase 7D as prepared by Kirsten Quigley and Roberts dated March 29, 2021, subject to civic addresses to be recorded on the final plan for NB 911 identification, 2, final subdivision approval to be approved by council with a completed developer's subdivision agreement, 3, $89.45 as money in lieu for of land for public purposes, cash debit, money order, or certified check for the creation of 4 new building lots, and move to approve an agreement in principle between the town of Grand Bay Westfield and McGuire Excavating Limited regarding a multi-parcel grant for future payments under the town's development incentives program for the creation of 4 new vacant building lots located at the intersection of June Avenue and Maple Crest Drive out of the current PID number 3008564, based on an estimated assessed value of $50,000 per lot, allowing for 4 grants up to a total of $13,700 paid in up to 5 annual installments. Individual grants end in the following year after lots are developed or sold. Following the completion of the subdivision, confirmation of the actual increase in assessment to the subject properties and confirmation of payment of taxes owing, and undertaking a memorandum of understanding for the disbursement of grant funds.
Seconded.
On the question. So 4 more new lots, another person involved in the Developers Incentive Program. I think that's, would be nice, John,
I
would
was just
council.
gonna ask that.
Yeah, perhaps we could get an update just because of this one for our next meeting too, to know just how.
That took us 3 years to.
Oh my gosh, to develop that, and it's, it seems to be really
It's
getting some
finally getting
legs. Yeah, it's really getting some legs, so let's perhaps get an update
Sure.
on how it's doing and its implications. So on the question of the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried and your item is 15.5, please.
Financial report.
So council, you have a motion there for your consideration.
That I make a motion that the council of the town of Grand Bay Westfield accept the finance department review final report prepared by TSI, and I strongly recommend to the new council to implement the report's recommendations.
On the question, and since we have the acclaimed mayor watching us, we'll share with her this, that certainly it's a strong recommendation. It's pretty clear to us that you do need a CFO of some sort here. And staff is changing. However, it wasn't a budgeted item for us for this year. So we wanted to leave that for you guys to better understand the way forward so that you could make that decision for yourself and either implement it. Marcia is still with us until January of next year. So you have coverage there, but you might want to start somebody later in the year and get them. Look, the decision will be yours, but we didn't want to make it leave you in a deficit position as we go out the door. So the motion is clear that the recommendation, the TSI recommendation is, it was a good one. And it really does build the infrastructure in the office into the future and provide lots of opportunity and perhaps opportunity for savings I suspect with respect to the audit job as well.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, Your Worship, one of the recommendations obviously is adding the position of CFO, but also revisiting, looking at our software that we use.
That's right.
And some of the practices that have been used in the past, not that they're wrong, but they're maybe less efficient than they could be. So I think it's certainly good
And more suitable.
good recommendations, and I think it would serve them well.
Yes, I think that's well said, Councillor Congress, because the software we are using seems to be more of a business use, although we've been making it work for years. So there's an opportunity to change all of that and have a much more seamless and smooth operation here. So on the question of support, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried and your item is 15.5.1. 15.6, sorry.
Future Public Works Garage Test Well Drilling Results.
Make a motion that the council of the town of Granby Westfield find up to $10,000 in capital savings to reallocate for the purpose of a pump test in August at 369 Highland Road, and that the geotechnical investigation be included in the 2022 capital budget deliberations.
Seconded.
On the question. I mean, certainly we think it's worth a phase 2 study. That's what its recommendation is. The phase 1 results of the water study in the area produce nothing that we'd be surprised to have high content of magnesium, iron. It's prevalent throughout this town, to be honest. And it's not anything to be concerned about. The fact that they found no hydrocarbons to this point, there was no real contaminations or anything to worry about. Before you should proceed, certainly the recommendation to council was to have a broader phase 2 study. I forget what they call it now, some blow up or explosion study or something, but it will give them even deeper information to ensure should the next team decide to move forward with the new works garage, which is far overdue, that they go forward with that sort of certainty of knowledge about the groundwater. Anything else, council? On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. And your item 16, please.
St. John comes out on top, Expedia and McLean's Edge.
Motion to receive and file.
Seconded.
On the question, we put it out there just so that we could give one of the friendliest cities. It's Expedia has determined the top friendliest towns and cities in Canada, and St. John was one of them. And that's because it is. I mean, all the feedback we get at Envision now, but at Enterprise St. John was always that kind of feedback, what a friendly city we are. And while the application was made on behalf of the city, certainly we know that as a region we share that personality trait, shall we say. So on the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Item 17, please.
New Brunswick Police Association requests for support.
So that report came in and they were looking for advertising. John, you spoke to the gentleman. It doesn't come to us, this advertising. It's for city police. We don't get the publications.
Yeah, so the RCMP are not members of this association. This is outside. And they're looking for support to produce a booklet on mental health. Now, just wondering about what they do. I went back and arbitrarily chose a booklet that they produced in the past. The one that I looked at was about cannabis. I think it was produced in 2019, if I recall correctly. It was 116 pages long, and maybe 35 pages was talking about cannabis with advertising around it. The rest of it was advertising. I spoke with the chief. He does not participate in this program. There's another one that the MB fire chiefs do. But it's difficult to see the value that the town would get out of this. Our police officers are not members of this. And it's a fundraising for police services that serve municipalities other than Granby Westfield.
Motion to receive and file.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Thank you, Councillor Bailmans. On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Your items 18, please.
Letter of March 16th, 2021, from Doug Hartford P. Engineer, Dillon Consulting, re McLean Road Trickling Filter Upgrades, project number 092797G, final completion, certificate number 2.
Make a motion that we authorize payment of certificate number 2, final completion certificate to Keel Construction Limited for $2,177.22.
Seconded.
On the question, certainly this was, as the motion indicates, for the trickling filter on McLean Road. That full project was just over $14,000. This is the final completion, as Councillor Sonder has pointed out, $21,77.22. On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Your item is 19, please.
Legion request to update Zenitap area.
Motion to table. To come back to us at the next meeting.
Okay, what does council want in particular?
Well, we're going to want, it's important for us to understand, I think they only got enough money for one of them, but we want to better understand the plans that they have for updating that park and to make sure that they don't contradict what is there. It appears there's a peace park there that has been there since 1993. Those trees were just replaced last year. And there's some concern about where they have just some of the diagrams, so we'd just like to have an opportunity to talk
Of
about
course,
that.
I'd like to make a motion to refer to staff to prepare a report to come back to council.
That's
that
it.
addresses some of the issues in this report, or this request, because it's not clear to me, like, I have questions around who owns the property,
We
who's allowed to do what. And I mean, I think I understand it's town-owned property, but I don't have a clear vision of what it is they're trying to do. And, it could have a big impact based on what I read in there, but cutting trees down and stuff like that, I'm certainly not.
If I could add to your proposal, I would ask that we make sure they understand that this is town land, not theirs.
Well,
Yeah.
Seems like they think.
I just think it might be helpful if they could even come and make a presentation at the next council meeting.
That's what I was gonna suggest is,
Then we could ask questions and get that information.
get them here in person. I think it'd be better than be preparing a report.
Okay.
And,
And as chair of your beautification committee, I'm going to reach out to them to have some of these discussions because it doesn't appear like they knew exactly who to go to. So I'll have some discussions with them too.
Thank you.
and just to the deputy mayor's point, when I did meet with them, I did make the point very plainly that
Good. Thank you.
It's town-owned property. But look, it's, as we discussed earlier, it's important to acknowledge that both Jim and Corey have done some really good work. You worked with them, Ryan,
I did, yeah.
around the veterans banners, and we don't want to discourage that
No.
kind of participation from the community. We just want to make sure that we both have an understanding of where we are as we go forward with the new project.
And this close to the end of this term, I mean, it might be even better to table it for the next council to make that decision, because ultimately it'll impact them.
Absolutely. On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Your item is 20, please.
Letter of March 8th, 2021, from Jill Green, Minister of Transportation, re-route 177 culvert repair at Civic 293 Partnership.
Motion to receive and file.
second,
That was Councilor Bailen. Did you hear that? On the question, certainly this is the amount of funding we were successful with on the designated highway this year. And generally, it would be us who would go to contract or tender for that work on the designated highway, but I noticed that DTI is handling that this year. Just as a difference, it won't be us. So on the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Item 21, please.
Letter of March 17th, 2021, from Jacqueline Rio, Manager, Disaster Financial Assistance Program, January 2018, rainfall event payment.
Motion to receive and file.
Seconded.
On the question, John, please.
this finishes up to 2018, freshet or January flooding, I forgot what it's called. So this is now over for 2018.
So that was my question. Of course, it's, that's why I had the letter placed on the agenda, because it's a final payment for this. But that just gives you some idea. I mean, how long it has taken. This is 2021. This was a 2018 rainfall event. And isn't it amazing that exactly a year later, we had another one,
Yeah.
the same month? another rainfall event. We'll deal with that the next time.
So,
But it's nice to have this one completed and fully paid out now.
so your worship, on that note, is that reflected in the audited statements from those years, or is that gonna be new money found? So we'll update.
Sorry, no, this came in now, so it's not reflected. It'll be reflected in the next.
So the surplus will be a little higher than what was originally thought. Good,
Yeah.
thank you.
So on the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion's carried. Items 22.
Letter of March 17th, 2021, from Jack O'Neill, Manager of Disaster Financial Assistance Program, read January 2019 rainfall event payment.
Motion to receive the vote.
Is there a second? So again, I spoke of it, this check was in the amount of $40,000. And does it finish it, this one up, John?
It finishes this one out, which this predates me, I understand. We still have the spring one.
Yes, you do.
2019, that's outstanding.
That's right.
So it finishes the rain one in January, but not the spring one of the same year.
No,
Yes.
That's,
So to the benefit of all those who may be watching, this will give you some idea how long it takes to get the books finally cooked here so that we can get the funding that's deserved us. I mean, look, the truth is, we put out all this money, right? We put out all this money doing repairs. I can't wait for 3 years for you to do it. So the money's out there. So we're glad to get it. And this will finish this particular rain event. But there's another one, as John rightly mentioned, that happened in March of that same year too. So on the question of receive and file, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Your item is 23, please.
Adjournment.
so moved.
On the question, oh boy, you guys are just on a race tonight.
Yeah.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? We are adjourned at 8:36. Thank you, council. Thank everyone who's watching. It's been a pleasure to have you. Congratulations, your worship.
Yeah, congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.